Welcome everyone to Dementia Chats. It is August 23rd, 2016, and I can't believe the summer is almost over. I'm Laurie Scherrer, the founder of Alzheimer's Speaks and Dementia Chats. My mom had dementia for 30 years, life-changing for me, and I learned so much from her voice and her being able to share with me what life was really like. I switched careers and started Alzheimer's Speaks, and Dementia Chats is one of the things that I think is really important, and I'm just thrilled to have our panelists with us who are all living with dementia. I think we all need to listen to those actually diagnosed with the disease much more. They have brilliant insights. So here we just have very informal conversations on all different types of topics, but I personally learn something every single time. And so before we get started, I am going to have everyone introduce themselves. If you're visiting with us, typically we will not have you on video because we want to highlight the panelists, but we will communicate via the chat box. And these will be posted later, and then you can go ahead and share away. So, True, do you want to start us out and tell people a little bit about yourself?
My full legal name is Truthful Loving Kindness. My current diagnosis is mild cognitive impairment, but I have strong symptoms of Lewy body and mild to moderate cerebrovascular disease. I blog. I am an admin on Dementia Mentors, and I am on the advisory council for USA's DAA, Dementia Action Alliance.
Wonderful, thank you. Brian, can you introduce yourself, please?
I sure can. I wish I had a cool name like Truthful, Loving Kindness, but I'm Brian LeBlanc. I'm in Pensacola, Florida. I'm fourth generation with Alzheimer's. I was diagnosed in 2014. I am on the advisory council of Dementia Action Alliance. I'm on the I'm in the national advisory group of the Alzheimer's Association in Chicago, and I'm on the leadership board of Covenant Care. I'm also a national public speaker. I go around just talking to groups, individuals, anybody that will listen about anything and everything that's Alzheimer's and dementia-related, illness-related.
Wonderful, thank you. Harry, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Harry Urban. I live in Pennsylvania. I was diagnosed with dementia of the Alzheimer's type about 12 years ago. I founded a group on Facebook called Forget Me Not. I write a blog called My Thoughts on Dementia.com. And I'm an advisor for the Alzheimer's Association, and I speak out at events sponsored by the Alzheimer's Association. Now, I'm not involved in fundraising, just in using my voice.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Harry. And next we have Michael.
For the sake of this, meeting here, I will go a little bit deeper into my job description. My name is Michael Ellenbogen. I was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at age 49 after struggling for 10 years. I was a high-level manager working for the telecommunications industry for organization that was 70,000 people, and I also have an electronic background. So I think that will kind of help along with what our topic is today. And I now spend my time advocating for too many causes to even list.
Great, thank you, Michael. Laurie?
My name's Laurie Scherrer, and I live in Pennsylvania. In 2013, at the age of 55, I was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's and FTD. My background included some programming, COBOL, ad hoc reporting, various other computer programming. Did a lot with formulas in Excel. So I have a decent amount of technological background.
Wonderful, thank you. Well, today we kind of pre-discussed about talking about technology and apps, and what is needed, what's working, what's not, and so hopefully we're going to come up with some kind of plan for somebody to implement here, just through our conversation. Brian, you were the one that brought this up, so why don't you let people know what you think is missing? And one of the things that we found in our discussion was that we really haven't talked about what are the needs and what would that look like. And so in this hour, we're hoping to maybe come up with some ideas of how an app could truly be helpful for people living with dementia. And we'll look at pros and cons like we always do with everything. So you'll hear all sides from our panelists. So Brian, why don't you tell us what you see as missing and is needed?
Well, you know, coming from a technological background, I've relied on technical devices to keep me informed and alerted and so forth. Living with Alzheimer's, you need reminders. You need, if it's not a calendar or something, you need people that are going to tell you what to do, when to do it, how to do it. But if you don't have those, if you don't have people around you, which most of the time during the day, I don't. You know, I'm here by myself the majority of the time, except with him, and he doesn't really talk. So he doesn't do me any good. But this does. But, and this will come up in conversation, in that if I want to do something, I can use this to alert me, to tell me what to do, when to do it, how to do it. But everything I just said, when, how, what, I'm going to have to go through 3 or 4 different apps that are already out on the market, you know, general apps that people know about, to put that information in. Now, while I still have the wherewithal to know what those apps are and what those apps do, later on, I'm not going to know. And if there's someone that is further along in the disease, they're not going to even know how to begin. But what we were discussing is, it would be great if there was like a one-stop shopping, one app that people could go to that's specifically designed for people with Alzheimer's and dementia-related illnesses, that they could go to, and it does everything for you. Everybody else is going to discuss what their needs and so forth are. So I'm not going to step on any toes, but that's my big thing. But part of the reason that I feel that this has not happened yet is because of the fact that still people don't know all there is to know about Alzheimer's and dementia-related illnesses. People still look at people like me and the people that you see that have Alzheimer's and a dementia-related illness, and they still in their minds think, oh, they have Alzheimer's. They can't do anything. They can't figure anything out. And that's a whole nother thing for later on. But if we had one thing to help us, a Walmart app, where you can go there and get anything you need. That's what we need in our lives right now, to help us. Not because we need to, not that it's not that we're relying totally on it, but that it'll help enhance our lives.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Great. Now, I'm going to just throw this question to someone else. Welcome, Susan. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
I think everybody knowing me, Susan, Oklahoma. Hi. I think
Can you tell people the type of dementia you have and how long you've had it?
early onset Alzheimer, 10 plus years ago. 3 years ago, FTD, frontotemporal, primary progressive aphasia. Maybe 2 years ago. Like, timing's off. I'm not for sure. Long enough.
Okay. Well, we're talking today about apps and what would be helpful and useful with the diagnosis of dementia. So I'm going to go up to Laurie next and just get your input and thoughts on apps and what you'd like to see or not see.
I currently use 4 different apps for different things. One is for when I'm cooking and I can't follow a recipe unless it says put in half a cup of sugar, put in whatever. If the ingredients are at the top and then the instructions down the bottom and they don't include the ingredients step by step, I can't follow them. So I've had to rewrite my recipes so that at the top it tells me half a cup of sugar and at the bottom it says add half a cup of sugar. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I have a calendar that I use all the time. It's got all my alarms that tell me it's time to feed the dogs, and it actually says feed the dogs. But I really struggled because I was having a hard time remembering when these chats were and a few other things. My app does not, number one, it doesn't allow me to put the first and third Tuesday of every month or the second and fourth Thursday of every month. It doesn't give me that as an option. So I have to type each date in. Number two, I'd like to see an app where I can pick it up and say, Dementia Chat, first and third Tuesday of every month. And have it put it in instead of me having to sit there trying to figure out how to do it. Mm-hmm. It's something where on my phone when I go for a walk, if I get lost, I can just hit a panic button per se, and it'll tell me how to get home. And that's important to me because I try and walk my dogs every day, but there's times I go, ooh, I'm so disoriented today. I don't think I want a chance going out because I might not get home. So something that I can push a button to get me home. Another thing that would be really nice is an alarm for my husband so that if something's wrong with me, I can hit an alarm and it'll notify him something's wrong. I fell or whatever. Mm-hmm. Those things would make life so much easier. It's a struggle as it is to do cooking, to remember to take pills, remember to feed dogs. It's a struggle to begin with, but then you add to that having to deal with many different apps in order to organize life or remember 5 different passwords. It makes it very challenging. So it would be nice if there was an app that would combine these many things and do one password, just one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's a challenge for everybody these days with the passwords. And I know that they have those little things that will remember each and every one of them, but then you got to remember, the USB to plug it in to do that. And then, what if it gets lost? And there's those types of things as well. But those are some really nice concrete things about being able to put in events that repeat without having to put in the details for it just to know and to be able to grab it and put it onto your calendar. And then, that kind of panic button if you're lost. a GPS system to let you know how to get back, and maybe even have emergency contact information there, or a number to call, you know, if you need that. And then the alarm for your care partner if something's wrong, that would be kind of nice maybe to have a GPS so that they know your location or how to reach you as well. I have a question for you, because do all of you use a cell phone? Do you all carry one? So if we're talking GPS, is that realistic or not? Michael's going, nope.
Not yet, Michael. Not yet.
Well, but we all know with this disease, starting something new isn't always easy to do. So, you know, either you kind of do or you don't. Or they do have those little, they're like little chips, you know, that can actually be sewn in or carried, that have a GPS location for them too, that isn't a phone but would accommodate things. But again, it's the matter of, you know, would you have it on you, and then how would that be carried? You know, how would that be controlled? Truthful?
Actually, starting a year or two before even my mild cognitive impairment diagnosis, I got a prescription for a smartphone because of my memory problems. Because I couldn't remember my phone number, I couldn't remember my address, I couldn't remember, and as an emergency contact method, when I got disoriented, even though I, like several others, I kind of specialized in technology, figuring out how different companies' software worked when they lost their manuals.
Mm-hmm.
But and the smartphone, at that time it was a Palm Pilot, and then I progressed as I went, and that worked really well as a tool for, you know, not a solve-all thing, but a tool for many years. 10? But now, I can't manage it anymore. It is not helpful. Alarms, I can't tell where that sound is coming from. I don't know whether to go to the microwave, the oven, the toaster, or whether a fire alarm is going off. I don't know where to find that sound in order to look and find out what to do. So it is not helpful. All it does is put me in panic mode.
Okay.
As Susan and I were talking about last year or year before, I think a helpful thing for those people who really are helped by what's going in the ear gate, like an alarm would normally do, would be something that stated the name of the person, the name of the holder of the device, what the alarm was for, and where to go to turn it off.
Okay. What are everyone's thoughts on that? Do other people have problems when an alarm goes off knowing what's ring-dinging at you? Susan?
Yeah, I find, like True say, it is more maybe from being older, not familiar phone dinging that way, alarm. I associate brain with alarm like a fire alarm or some sort danger. So it's not comforting or reassuring to me. Also, like Laurie say, programming, I'm not tech enough, but think that have some a voice command to either program exact and then phone just do. Also, if I were to implement phone for reminders or such, it would need to be a spoken word, not a sound. Sounds do not resonate, but with fear.
Okay. Laurie, you had a comment?
Yes, I agree with Susan on the sound. On my iPad, I set it up, it does a little ping. It's not really an alarm, a ping, but then across it, it tells me why it pinged.
Mhm.
It would be better would be if it did both, ping and then told me what it said.
Yeah, that's what mine does, but I don't remember where to find the ping in order to see, oh, that's why the thing is going off. I don't remember that it's a phone rather than the toaster or anything else.
Okay. Well, and the other thing that I think has to be taken into consideration is the tone of the pings, because as we age, our hearing changes and stuff too. And so, I mean, I noticed that, in my life, the kid's like, you can't hear that? And I'm like, what? I don't hear it. There's certain things, certain tones I don't hear anymore that I used to be able to hear. So I think that that's something too that has to be considered. And the difficult thing with all of this is everybody's needs and reactions and are different to this stuff. And so it almost has to be customized for where you're at, in the disease and who you are as a person, because we all have different triggers because of our histories are all different. And one of the questions that I have is that if you could change the sound of the ping, and if you could have a voice command saying find your phone, because we all know sometimes you don't necessarily know what a phone is. You can miss that object when someone's directing you to it, depending on where you are with the disease. How do you think that would work with those changes? Because, we always talk about how difficult change is, for somebody with dementia. Or is it better to set yourself up earlier with a system like this that can just be carried through so it's that routine? Because one of the problems I see, and I just feel this is how technology is, but they're constantly changing everything. And I think the public at large doesn't always like the changes. They're like satisfied where we are, but the techies are like, well, we can make this better. So I think there's got to be some kind of fine line and true understanding with anybody developing this, that you have to be really cautious of when and how changes are made, because moving parts isn't a good thing all the time when you're dealing with dementia. True?
But any aid of any type, even when I get my service dog again, any aid is a temporary aid for us, because we are continuing to progress in our symptoms. So anything is a workaround, as in the temporary aspect of any tool. So I don't think we're going to be able to eliminate the change that is necessary, because that is inherent in the disease. But minimizing it would be very important.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Susan, and then I'm going to go to Michael.
There was, my example was when first diagnosed PPA, the give personalized linggraphic speech device. That was at that stage modified for a woman's voice, the age of the woman's voice, the ability to change from voice to sound alerts, or whether the keys make a noise or not, and if so, what type of noise, in the knowledge that this will change. But having one device that can change as need, there's a certain level of comfort there. It's kind of like routine. If that woman's voiced that machine, I am familiar and trust. There's something familiar and trust together, go me. Then change comes a little easier, if that makes sense. Mute.
You're muted, Laurie.
Thank you. I muted and unmuted and muted again. So, thank you, Susan. I think that makes a lot of sense. Michael, what are some of your thoughts?
Well, I have to tell you, coming from the technology background, and for a person who had a cell phone before most people had cell phones, it was like a huge box. I stayed away out of that arena for many years because I didn't think I had a need for it. And to be honest with you, I hate cell phones because I used to spend so much time on them. But I knew the time was coming, and it has come for me, that I feel I'm going to need to rely on a cell phone for many reasons. One of them, of course, being able to find my way around places and getting lost and things. So as I started researching what's available, I have to tell you, I was extremely, extremely disappointed because I thought there was a lot more applications out there. In fact, some of the ones that people here are mentioning, I was thought was going to be available to people who are living with dementia. How wrong was I? You know, over the years, I've had so many technology companies reach out to me and ask me all kinds of questions, and I gave them a lot of feedback, and I thought they existed. But they're not. There's only applications geared to caregivers, not people with dementia, which just amazes me because there's so many hundreds and free apps available today that are geared to the average person. But you look at Alzheimer's or dementia, you would think somebody like the Alzheimer's Association would have created some kind of application out there in combination with some technology companies that would simplify our lives. But they have not done that. And I have to tell you, I am shocked. I am shocked that these products do not exist out there. Everything what people mentioned here today can be done. There's no doubt in my mind that it can be done if somebody spent the time to work with people like ourselves to get us in some kind of a group to say, hey, what would you like to have? What do you feel that you need to simplify your daily life so you can function better? I think there's a lot of products out there already today that can be taken and enhance them to simplify the process. And that's the key. You know, Brian had mentioned that, you know, there's Google Alerts and Google Maps and all these things. But when you look at those little tiny icons, hey, I'm going to tell you, I have a lot of difficulty understanding those things. Take those little icons and make it big. If it's walk, show me a guy really walking, a picture of a guy walking. Or if it's a car, show me the guy driving behind the wheel of a car. That's what I need. I need it to be simplified in big pictures. Mm-hmm. So you take all the other background noise away from things, and I could see it clearly that it makes sense to somebody. And again, everybody's going to need it differently. So it should be based on the level of progression of your disease. You know, somebody who's just maybe at an MCI level may just need little subtle cues. So maybe the program that's created says, okay, well, if I'm at an MCI level, I don't need all that help. And it's going to show you one view. While somebody who is really past mid-level to high level of Alzheimer's, they may have an option that says, hey, need major cues to help this person. So it might show you something completely different for that particular person. And again, this is all something that needs to have different grade levels of where you're at in the platform of what type of need that you have. And I think all those things can be done, but it's going to take somebody talking to people like us and asking what the needs are and figuring out how do we simplify what they already considered simplified. They're not simplified for people with dementia, but make them better. And the key here is to bring them all under one umbrella so they all kind of look the same. I mean, that's what Windows does for people. I mean, my God, if people only knew what Windows does, it's a lot of different programs all under one that allows what I would consider a person who doesn't have the background or understanding how to use a computer, make it simpler. And that's the platform that's needed to pull all these things together and create a new platform that basically pulls everything together and makes it simple for one person to use to make it all look the same.
Great. Now, Harry, I'm dying to hear from you because I know you've got some different thoughts on this. And, you know, one of my thoughts in this is that we really almost need a large company like a Facebook, like a Google or something to kind of be the mothership, because we do have, I think, a lot of different apps out in different locations, and it's hard to pick and choose and find and know which one is what. But Harry, I know you've got some thoughts about technology and living with dementia as a whole. What are your thoughts on having apps?
Well, we heard all the pros, and now here comes the cons. I honestly think we rely on technology too much. Now, I sat here and I heard all the frustration that people have with the technology we now have. With the more advanced technology, that's going to add more frustrations to our lives. I think Michael hit on something that we were overlooking. We need more visual aids. That's the technology I think we have to go through, the visual aids on helping us to get through. Not an app that I have to do a lot of work to get to and get and use, and then all of a sudden I get all this data that I have to process. I'm not going to be able to do that. But if there's more visual aids that walk me through the steps to do something, don't explain them to me. Don't give me the text how to do it. Show me how to do it. You know, apps like that with the visual aids. As far as locator devices, there's so many problems with them. I mean, there's the biggest problem. Do I go with the GPS or do I go with the radio type device? Because GPS isn't everywhere. If you're in a building, radio, you know, there's so many problems with technology that my GPS gets me lost most times. You know, and a lot of people, there's stories of people driving off a cliff because the GPS said turn right. You know, so I think we rely on technology too much and too little on common sense. And I think we have to move towards that direction more than anything. But again, that's just my point of view.
So, Brian, what are your thoughts on Harry's thoughts?
I understand where he's coming from, you know, and that's why I said in the beginning of when I was introducing myself, or when we started this whole thing, I understand where it can. I mean, look at all the, you know, take away the Alzheimer's part, okay? Look at what Pokemon Go did with everybody. Everybody in the world is walking around, looking down at their phones, trying to find this little cartoon thing so they can throw a ball at it. Well, it caused, you know, it's fun, But then you have people that are driving their cars while looking at this stuff. And it's not just that, it's everything. People do rely on technology for everything. And when something new comes out, it's the big thing. Instagram is unbelievable, the amount of people that use that. And I understand there's a difference between relying, wanting to use, and enhancing. There are some people that rely on it totally to keep their lives in check. There are other people that use it along with their lives to enhance their lives. Now, if you ask my wife, she would say that I rely, that my phone is attached to my hip, all day long. I look at it as a way of getting through the day, that it's a companion, basically reminding me of things to do when I forget, because I do have to take medications. If it doesn't tell me to eat, I'm not going to eat. And then I'm going to be in worse problems than what I am now. So I use it to enhance. And then, you have, I don't know, I understand it from all sides, but I see Harry's point to where where people are using it to rely on, and they're using it to run their lives, whereas I'm using it as a companion to enhance and to help me while I am still able to utilize that type of technology.
Mm-hmm. Okay. True. What are your thoughts? Do you have any additional?
One thing that just triggered right now, then I'll go to whatever I have written because I don't remember it right now. But as long as alarms worked for me, I was able to cook. When my phone, when I no longer knew that it was my phone rather than something else, then I basically can't cook unless someone's right beside me, because my husband got home too many times at the end of the day and the stove, our gas stove, was still on from cooking breakfast with the fire going, So I think it can be super helpful for a stage or, a section of the progression. I guess that must have been it on that because I don't remember anymore. I think that it is really important to ask the people with dementia for input on the technology issue. But I have participated in several surveys on this subject, none of which I could answer. And they were totally useless for me, and I ended up contacting each organization and saying the questions have to be reformatted in order for a person with dementia to be able to answer them. Because all the questions were too open. It's good to have open-ended questions for most people, but for a lot of us, those open-ended questions don't trigger any response. My brain goes empty. I don't have any answers. I mean, my IQ is still above normal, even though it's got a lot of holes in it. But I don't have any answers when I'm given a question that is that open-ended. I need either some background never mind what I need. At any rate, they would need to contact and put into action a way of asking the questions that would be helpful for us in order to answer them. But I think it is super important for those surveys or that contact information, and surveys in themselves are terrifically difficult for a lot of us to do surveys. But the contact with people with dementia in order to do in order to find out, and with a lot of the different, not routes, but stages and sections of developing technology need to have our input in an advisory capacity.
Okay. Now, I know we've talked with Charter Cloud in the past and kind of looked at some of the stuff they've done. And, you know, they loved your input, and I think they would be open to even more of that if you guys are interested in that. I can hook you all up with Michael, you know, individually. And that one, you know, they had things for, it was for contacts, information, it was for directions and services that you use, and social networking, and they had all different types of aspects. I don't know if any of you guys remember us talking about that. Go ahead, Harry.
Two things. First of all, technology is expensive, and most of us living with dementia can't afford it. Second of all, so many of the people that I know cannot even use the basic concepts of computers. So what we're talking about is narrowed it down to the people living with dementia that still has the capabilities of using the technology. And as technology advances, that is going to narrow it down, because unfortunately, when you're living with dementia, you start losing that ability to process. And the best technology is not going to help you through that.
Michael?
I understand all of what Harry's been saying here, but coming from a technical background, I think part of the problem is what the expectations are. The reason the technology is not good for Harry is because the technology has not been made simple enough for Harry. That's the key. If it's not made simple, then it becomes hard to use. There are many, many ways this stuff can be made so simple that even a child who has no knowledge can start to use something easily. And that's the key. It takes involvement of people such as ourselves to work with the physical programmers to say what we need it to do and how simple. A lot of these people don't think at that level to make it much more simpler, because the average person doesn't have to deal with it. But when you tell them that you need it so simple that somebody totally stupid can't understand it, they can do that. They can make it that way. But again, it takes the input. When you talk about affordable, I hear you again. There's free applications all over the internet. They're free. They are free. Most people already have the phones. So it's how do we make that product free for us to be able to do it? So I think it's all there. As long as we invest a couple dollars into the tools, I think we are there. But nobody out there making it for us or improving it to be made simpler for us.
Okay.
But you look, Michael, it's a marketing thing. Now, I wrote several websites that are dementia friendly. Okay? And anyone, now I look through the eyes of somebody with dementia. So I wrote this software for me. But you know what? People want bells and whistles. You know, the software that is dementia friendly, nobody wants. They want the bells and whistles. They want the complicated stuff, and it's a marketing thing. You know, if you market something that is simple, people think, well, why am I paying thousands of dollars for this? It's so simple. You know, so it's strictly a marketing thing that's why it's not simple.
See, and I agree with that. I'm going to make one comment, then I'm going to go to Laurie, Brian, and then to Susan. You know, I ran into that same thing when I was in real estate. people want it. It was so funny because everybody has these skills and flash cells, you know, sex cells, all of that kind of stuff. And people just want that. And so it took me over 2 years to get a builder to build a Rambler. And because people really thought they didn't even know how to build them anymore. Like they just didn't know how to do that. But it took forever to say, this is the need. We have to listen to the population. You know, we all have different skills, and just because they're flashy and they're cool doesn't mean they're meeting the needs of our target market. And that's the part that needs to be taught. And I think that can be taught. I look at even, you know, Harvard with their buddy system. You know, they're having people with dementia buddy up with people who are in school going for their doctorates. In Minneapolis here, they're doing the same thing, and they're learning. And then they're seeing how much they can help by shifting what they thought was needed to what's truly needed. But the only way that's going to happen is through a conversation. And I think people really, you know, we can talk till we're blue in the face, but until we get them to feel the need in their heart, they're not going to change. And then on top of that, it's got to make money sense from a business, unless somebody gets a nice big old grant, which those are out there too. So those are just my thoughts. Laurie, and then Brian, and then Susan. So Laurie, you first.
If we're not trying to enhance technology, then what else are we doing to try and help ourselves and make life easier? Technology is out there so simple that my great niece, who is 2 years old, knows how to pick up the phone or the tablet, knows how to turn it on, play games, everything else. We're looking at simplifying life now so that when this generation is older, and if they haven't yet found a cure for dementia diseases, they're not going to know, they're not even being taught in school how to sign their name.
Mm-hmm.
What they're being taught is technology.
Right.
So now's the time to start preparing technology for not just making our life simpler, but making the next group of people simpler.
Yeah.
And if we don't concentrate on making technology simpler, easier, I don't know what else we can do. Are we saying there's nothing else we can do because technology is too confusing? And I think also there's such a stigma that people with dementia can't do technology,
Mm-hmm.
that nobody wants to look into doing that. They figure that older people can't do technology, but that's not always the case. You look at the number of people that are diagnosed with dementia at 20, 30, 40. Their world has been technology.
Yeah.
A lot of my world has been technology. So if we look at a program that's specifically for people with dementia, I think it's going to be a long time coming. But all the things we've talked about that we'd like to see, something real easy, you can just push a button. Don't you think that would also apply to a lot of the people that are currently 80 and 90 years old that don't know how to work technology at all? So it's
I think easy is what everybody wants. But the other thing that I agree with in terms of technology, but I look at our kids and they don't even know how to talk anymore. They're just thumbing it with texting and stuff. So I think, and real estate went through this whole thing too, where it was like everything was technology. We're going to just push all this technology down people's throat, and they're going to list their homes. They're going to do this, they're going to do that. And then they found out really quickly that it had to be high tech with high touch. And I think that's part of what Harry's talking about, is that we have to still maintain our relationships, and we can't get too reliant on, on that as well. So I'm going to go up to Brian, and then to Susan, and then back to Harry.
I just wanted to say about what kind of jump on what Laurie was just saying. Sorry, Laurie, and now stuck in my head. Until until more is actually learned about Alzheimer's and other dementia-related illnesses, nothing's going to change. You know, that's what we were talking about before, is that, you know, things to help people that have early onset Alzheimer's or have been diagnosed in their 20s and 30s, you know, they're still not recognized as people that can still live with Alzheimer's. I mean, the people that you see here on the screen are still living at home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, none of us are in a facility of any sort. Now, some of us may need some assistance, you know, in one way or another. I need human interaction as well as my technological interaction. But until, you know, we were talking about when you think of the color pink, you think of breast cancer. But when you think of the color purple, I looked it up, and there's like 31 or 32 other diseases that use the purple ribbon. So if you just put a purple ribbon up somewhere, it doesn't just mean Alzheimer's. It means a whole other thing which people still don't recognize. So until Alzheimer's is recognized on all different levels at all different ages, nothing is going to change. That includes the technology. But the minute somebody comes out with some sort of medication that's a definite cure or preventive method to assist in Alzheimer's, it's going to be a world changer. That's when everything's going to come into play. But until then, we can advise all we want, and we can deal with what we have and try to make do with what we have. We know better, but and the majority of us continue shouting from the mountaintops about change that we want to see. But coming from us, sometimes they don't really realize that our words are coming from somewhat of a very active brain. Mm-hmm. So, if that makes sense.
Thank you, Brian. Susan, you had some comments?
Yeah, kind of feeding off of everyone's dialogue. We use the word dementia and the word Alzheimer's, and that in itself connotates an image. And when we thinking the technology, our ability or lack thereof. Now, when we use the word developmentally delayed, I, as a nurse, worked with the people that had no capabilities to function anything technological. But I could train that person to hit a big red button, literally big red button, to turn a fan on so they were not hot. Or they could indicate hungry by a different color button, no verbalization. Those concepts and modalities are very well in place when we use the word cognitively or developmentally delayed. But when we use the word dementia and Alzheimer, and we also consider the marketing and the money behind that just in itself, we create chaos because everyone wants to make the money off the disease. It's just a fact of life. And so if we, those with the inability or lack thereof desire or money to afford some of these tech solutions as they be touted, and they're not real work, or they take the humanistic factor out of the everyday life, and that bothers them. Why don't we then look at what already their place, but it's just named for different disability? I find often that when as progress, the no word, I use my hands and different things. I may slam my hand down table hard. That mean I no get you. Shut up. I don't need an app for that. I'm hungry. I'm hungry. When we simplify, we're still be self. We still get point cross. It might not be the way always do, but we sometimes thinking so. Those us with dementia are trying to create this whole new world, technological speak, as our brains are changing. And that ability to create an app, or how password an app, or even no work afford a new device that carries that app. All of those are roadblocks to what we really try and get to, and that's just the everyday flow of life. And it does not always have be so. I have a Lingraphica $3,000. I can use my hands and a picture board. Say same damn thing. Why are we so inclined to create chaos where there not always need be? That does not mean change is not good. Sometimes simple is enough. To me.
Thank you, Susan. Harry, you had another comment, I think?
Well, I have to back up some. Now, I have over 40 years in IT and R&D in my background, so technology has always been part of my life. And I also, in my opinion, I think technology is it's not helping us, it's handicapping us, because it's preventing us from using our brain. Okay, it's doing too many things for us. And that's why I'm against it so much. Yes, there's ways of coming out with technology that will do things for us, but is that what we really want? Is that helping us living this disease? And I think not, because if there's something that comes out that ties my shoe for me, I no longer have to tie my shoe. If there's something that comes out I don't have to think about it, it just does it for me, then you're handicapping me. And that's my one drawback with technology. Technology is wonderful. We can't afford it though, because most of us are on fixed incomes. So we talk about all these wonderful things, but unfortunately they do come with the price tag. And most of us can't use them anyway. Even though I have a strong background in it, I am losing those skills.
Okay. Thank you, Harry. True?
I think, in my experience, one of the best tools would be a method of video chat that is really easy, consistent. My husband was gone. I tried to cut something, severely cut myself. I didn't know where to find a Band-Aid, could not find the words to say what the problem was. When I did get a hold of someone on a telephone, I needed to be able to show them what the problem was so that they could tell me what I needed to do. And if I would have had video chat capability at that time with someone, I would have been able to do that. At that time, I didn't. But in later stages, I wouldn't be able to anyway, because video chat is so complicated to get into. I mean, it's not really complicated for me right now, but it will be. But even for people that are very visually or sound or not thinking of picking up their phone and using a telephone, they still would probably think of wanting to be able to talk to someone. Having that person-to-person contact.
Yeah, and I think that makes a lot of sense, that video. It can help sort things out, but again, it's making the connection. And FaceTime does that, but not everybody knows how to do FaceTime, and then you got to find the right person. And so if there was an app for an emergency so that it just automatically connected, you didn't have to think of who to connect to, it just sent the message out and did it, so that you could get help and you just had to go to one spot. That I could see being really effective. We are over our time. We knew that this is going to be a little hot topic. Anybody have any last short comments? Brian?
No such thing as a short comment.
Okay, Laurie, any comment?
I am just very thankful for the technology that I do have. My iPad helps me make it through each day, and I'm extremely thankful for what I do have. And I hope that someone will maybe listen to this and try and enhance the technology we have to make it even simpler and easier.
Yeah, great. Michael, any last comment?
I'd just like to walk away to let everybody think, where would we be today if it wasn't for GPS? That's technology that we're probably all using.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine where my life would be without it today.
I'm still trying to figure out how to get my Garmin to not take side roads. I haven't been able to figure out how to just get me there fast.
I do want to say one short thing. I just want, anybody that follows this Dementia Chats and just happens to see this one, I would like you to just keep in mind that just because someone has Alzheimer's does not mean that they still can't function, not only in society, but in their lives. It may not be up to the same full force as they used to be, but we're still here. We still are alive inside. We forget things, but we do what's called live in the moment. And we're here. We're here right now. Later on, we may not remember where here was, but we're here right now. And thanks to Laurie with this recording and so forth, we can look back and we can relearn things that we, where we were, what we said, and so forth. But this is also a tool for people that are on the outside looking in that we still have a great capacity for life. We still have a meaning in life, and we can still do things to help others, which is why we come here every second and fourth Tuesday of every month to share awareness and to educate everybody. So we still matter. So don't count us out just because we have Alzheimer's or another dementia-related illness on any level, because somewhere inside we still matter.
Great, thank you. Harry or Susan, True, anything else you want to add? Go ahead, Harry.
I lost my train of thought after Brian's short statement.
Harry, I took up for you earlier. Now, come on.
I'm just thankful that you provided the platform that we can share different opinions and let people know that people living with dementia don't all think the same. They do think differently.
No, that's a really good point. And I'm just thinking of even technology. Thank God for Zoom, or we wouldn't even be doing this,
Yes.
you know? This is a great platform. Well, I want to thank you guys again. I learned a lot and got some new insights, and I'm sure our audience did as well. And we will get together again on the second Wednesday of September. I can't believe that's coming up. And I'll get this edited and posted in the next couple days. Lori, did you have a comment?
You just said Wednesday? Second
Oh,
Wednesday?
Tuesday. Oh my gosh, thank God.
I thought it was my dementia.
No, I was multitasking and I was doing something with the memory cafe. So yeah.
I had it right. I said Tuesday.
Yeah, second Tuesday of the month. Yeah. Okay, well, I'll cut that part out and redo that.
Oh no! Leave that in, Lauren.
That's what happens when you hang around us too long.
They're going to start thinking you're part of the group here.
And just a side note, we're not contagious. You can't catch it, okay? It's okay.